Well, well, well. Look who crawled out from the wreckage. You. You, the walking headline they swore they'd never have to read again. You, the glitch in their smooth little story. You weren't supposed to show up, remember? You were written off, buried, not just behind your back. Nah, they practically celebrated your disappearance. And yet, here you are, breathing, blinking, still faking standing. Do you feel that? That eerie silence when you walk into a room? That sudden drop in temperature like someone opened a door to something they thought was sealed shut? That's not just awkward tension. That's shock disguised as politeness. That's people choking on every bet they made against you. You were their favorite ghost story. A cautionary tale passed around in whispers. They painted you as the caution tape at the edge of their comfort zones. And now, you're back. And they don't know whether to run, freeze, or kneel. They don't even recognize you anymore, do they? But you remember everything. Every smirk, every snide remark. Every time someone nodded with fake concern, only to turn around and say, yeah, they're done for. You weren't just underestimated, you were erased. They handed out your obituary like party favors. And here you are, louder, harder, hungrier. Let's be honest, they didn't expect your silence to be surgical. They didn't know you were disappearing to sharpen your teeth. They didn't know the fall didn't break you. It remixed you. You stopped bleeding and started boiling. And now, they're stuck. Because you weren't supposed to have the audacity to come back unapologetically, breathing. They thought they had the final word. Hell, they thought they were the authors of your fate. But you rewrote the script behind the scenes, didn't you? Scene by scene, scar by scar. And the best part, you never sent out an invitation to this little comeback party. They're freaking the feck out, and they should. Because what's standing in front of them now isn't just you. It's everything they tried to destroy, concentrated and weaponized. But we're not even there yet. This is just the static before the broadcast, the weightless moment before the swing lands. You feel it, don't you? That burn behind your eyes, that low, relentless hum in your chest. That's not anxiety, that's your instinct recalibrating. You're not pacing around like a victim anymore. You're scanning like a predator. Because something changed in you. And not in some poetic Instagram quote kinda way. Not in the stronger than ever cliche people throw around after 2 therapy sessions. No. This change, it was carved into you. In silence, in dark hours, in all the rooms where you sat with your fists clenched under the table, chewing through rage like it was dinner. You didn't heal. You evolved. And somewhere along the way, while they were laughing, scrolling, pretending, forgetting, you were remembering. You were stacking every ounce of humiliation like ammunition. Every, you'll never make it. Every, they're done. Every time they mispronounced your name just to disrespect it. You turned all of it into gravity. And now, everything you touch feels heavier. Your words, your presence, your silence. They feel it before you even open your mouth. That's why they're scared. Not because you came back, but because you came back different. Unfazed, unreadable, unbothered by the same tricks they used to pull. And what's more terrifying than a ghost that doesn't want revenge? One that wants nothing. One that just walks past the wreckage with calm, like it saw all this coming. But you and I both know this wasn't luck. This wasn't some cute little comeback story. This wasn't destiny smiling down on you. This was you, belly to the floor, pulling yourself up one bone at a time, while everyone else toasted your downfall. They thought the silence was your tombstone. Turns out it was your fucking launch pad. And now you walk like you've seen death's face and didn't flinch. You talk like someone who bit the curb and tasted blood and liked it. You don't glow, you glare. There's no humble in your step, no need to prove, no need to explain, because your existence is already too loud for their egos to handle. You ever notice how they all suddenly remember you? When they realize they miscalculated, that fake little eye squint they do, like they're trying to recognize someone they intentionally forgot. That nervous twitch in their smile, when their brain's still buffering, trying to process the fact that you're not supposed to be here. They rehearsed life without you, scripted it, recasted it, made peace with it, and then you showed up, dragging your silence behind you like a war trophy. They called you finished because they needed you to be. They needed your story to stay buried, because if you could rise from what they swore would destroy you. What the hell does that say about their comfortable little excuses? That's what really burns them. It's not just that you survived, it's that your survival invalidates their entire worldview. It exposes their cowardice, it humiliates their mediocrity. Because you didn't just make it, you made it without their permission. They were waiting on the obituary. You delivered a resurrection, and you didn't knock. You kicked the fucking door off its hinges and walked in like you never left. Now look at them, trying to act like they didn't bet everything on your downfall. Their voice gets tight when they speak your name. Their compliments come slow, like every word is a mouthful of regret. Because they're looking at someone they don't know anymore, and it terrifies them. The you they remember. You used to flinch. You used to ask for space. You used to break yourself into smaller pieces just to fit their fragile expectations. But this version, you don't flinch. You stare. You don't shrink. You expand. And they can't figure out how you're still breathing, let alone breathing like this, with that calm, surgical rage simmering behind your eyes like a storm just waiting to be asked the wrong question. You don't even have to speak for them to start spiraling, because your presence is confrontational, not because you're aggressive, but because you're whole. They remember your weakness like it was yesterday. They remember watching you crumble behind closed doors while they performed concern in public. They remember thinking, this one's not coming back from that. And yet, here you are, wearing all your fractures like armor, not hidden, not polished, just honest. The kind of honest that makes people itch. The kind that reflects every lie they've ever told themselves just to sleep at night. See, people love a broken soul. As long as it stays broken, they'll pat you on the back for surviving as long as your voice still trembles, as long as your eyes still plead, as long as you keep asking for crumbs with your head bowed. But when you rise with no apology, when you return without begging for validation, when your laugh sounds like liberation and your silence feels like judgment, they panic because you didn't just return. You remembered who the fuck you are. You walked through the fire, not around it, through it. And every step you took while you were burning taught you something they'll never understand. You know how to sit with pain until it speaks. You know how to turn loneliness into a weapon. You know how to wait quietly while they mock you, knowing damn well that one day they'll have to face you fully formed. And now, you're the test they can't cheat on. You're the storm they thought they'd outrun. You're the unfinished chapter they tried to rip out the book. But it keeps showing up in their dreams, louder than before. You don't even need revenge. You are the reminder. You're the consequence. You're the proof that ashes don't mean extinction. Sometimes they mean eruption. There's something sacred about someone who rebuilds alone. No audience, no applause, no safety net. Just bare hands and a raw heart, putting it all back together under flickering lights. You got used to talking to yourself, didn't you? Because no one else could hold the kind of silence you carried. No one else could hear the chaos underneath without flinching. But you learned to translate it. Every scream became a sentence. Every breakdown became a paragraph. Until you were fluent in pain. And when you finally spoke again, the words hit different. Because they were made from things you lived. Not theories, not slogans, but actual moments with your face against the floor, wondering if your next breath would matter to anyone but you. And now, you walk like someone who doesn't need to be seen, because you see yourself fully, clearly, brutally. And once you reach that place, no one can hold power over you again. They're freaking out. Not just because you came back, but because you're carrying something they don't recognize. And that something, it's not rage, it's not vengeance, it's clarity. And clarity is terrifying to the ones who only thrive in confusion. There's no telling what comes next, is there? Because you're not even chasing anything anymore. You're not looking for redemption. You are the consequence they prayed would never walk back in the room. You can almost feel the energy shift when you walk in, like oxygen rethinks whether it should even stay in the room with you. Their laughter falters, their eyes dart, their smiles turn into something rehearsed, because deep down, they remember how they left you, and they can't reconcile that memory with the person standing in front of them now. You became their unfinished business, their unhealed guilt in human form. Every step you take reminds them that they celebrated too early. They popped champagne while you were clawing your way out of the dirt, and the sound of the cork still echoes in your memory like a gunshot. They didn't just doubt you. They needed you gone because your survival threatened the fragile illusion they called confidence. They built a hierarchy where they could sleep easy knowing you were beneath them. It wasn't personal, it was structural. They needed someone broken to point at and whisper, "See, that's what happens when you reach too high." But the funny thing about broken people, they either stay shattered forever, or they learn how to cut deeper than anyone else. You learned precision in pain. You learned the rhythm of rejection, the melody of silence. You learned that nobody saves you, ever. And in that moment of final clarity, when every light went out, you made a promise under your breath that no one else heard. A promise that you would come back, not to prove anything, not to earn applause, but to exist louder than their doubt ever could. And that's exactly what you did. You turned your scars into punctuation marks. You turned every betrayal into body armor. Every memory that once made you shake became a page in the scripture of your becoming. They don't even realize it yet, but you stopped being a person in their eyes. You became a phenomenon, a glitch, an anomaly that makes them question what else they've misjudged. You exist outside their algorithm now. You speak a language that doesn't need their approval to make sense. Their minds can't process the version of you that doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't break on command. You stopped performing for an audience that never clapped for you anyway. You stopped dimming yourself just to make their egos feel taller. And in doing that, you became the mirror they avoid. Because the reflection burns, the truth burns, and you carry both. There's a certain kind of stillness that follows people who've died, metaphorically, and lived to talk about it. It's not peace, it's awareness. You walk through chaos without blinking, because you've already seen what destruction looks like from the inside. You've already buried the version of yourself that needed their permission to exist. You've already screamed into the void and heard it scream back, and you survived the echo. You can see the panic in their eyes when you speak, because you're not talking like someone who's seeking acceptance. You're talking like someone who's seen too much to care. And that's the scariest thing in the world to people who rely on control. You can't be manipulated by a system that no longer defines your worth. You can't be guilt-tripped into playing small when you've already made peace with losing everything. You're untouchable in a way that can't be faked. They don't know what to do with you anymore. They can't praise you, because that would mean admitting they were wrong. They can't ignore you, because your presence won't let them. They can't destroy you, because you've already destroyed everything that could be used against you. They're left watching, trembling in that sick blend of fascination and fear. Because deep down, they can sense it. You're not here to fit back in. You're here to haunt the world that forgot your name. You're the unspoken truth that crawled out of the grave, wearing a calm smile and steady breath. You're the reminder that sometimes the thing everyone buries doesn't die. It digs, it grows roots, it waits. And the moment it rises, it doesn't come back for revenge. It comes back for balance. That's what they feel when they see you. An invisible correction, a quiet rewriting of everything they thought they understood about endings. You're the plot twist they never saw coming. The deleted scene that changes the entire story. The unfinished sentence that finally learned how to finish itself. And every time you walk past them, every time your name resurfaces in conversation, every time your existence contradicts their predictions, they flinch because something in them still remembers the day they thought you'd never breathe again. And yet you're breathing deeper, slower, wiser, like someone who's made peace with madness and found poetry in the ruin. They keep asking themselves the same question over and over. How the hell are you still functioning? How did you survive that kind of collapse without turning into static? Because in their world, pain is a full stop. In yours, it became a comma, a pause, a space to recalibrate, not retreat. They watched you vanish and mistook your silence for surrender, because they've never learned how to suffer without broadcasting it. They confuse loudness with strength. They confuse constant movement with healing. But you went still. You didn't post about it. You didn't scream. You just disappeared into the shadows and began studying your own ruin like it was a language no one else could read. And now that you're fluent in your own destruction, you speak in a tone that doesn't flinch. Your presence makes noise even in silence, because you carry too much memory in your bones, too much depth in your stare, too much stillness in your step. They want to believe you faked it, that maybe you weren't really broken, that maybe it wasn't as bad as it looked. Because if they admit how deep you went, they'd have to confront how shallow they've always been. They've never been to that place where everything in you screams to shut down, where the only warmth comes from the friction of dragging your soul through the mud by your fingernails. You've tasted that level of abandonment, that bone-deep kind of isolation, where your name echoes back at you like it's been forgotten by the world. But you didn't dissolve. You didn't vanish. You calcified. You hardened like ancient stone beneath pressure no one saw. And when you walked out of that fire, it wasn't with a smile. It was with eyes that stopped blinking. Because blinking means softness, and you ran out of soft a long time ago. They don't know what they're looking at anymore. They think they're seeing someone who bounced back. They don't realize you didn't bounce, you dragged, you clawed, you broke into pieces and had the audacity to reassemble differently. Not cleaner, not prettier, just undeniable. That's what's got them pacing in their own skin. You're undeniable now, unpackaged, unfiltered. You're not chasing seats at tables anymore. You are the earthquake that flips the table entirely. They're terrified of what you'll say. But more than that, they're terrified of what you'll choose not to. Because silence in your hands has become a scalpel. They used to weaponize their opinions. You learned how to weaponize your absence. You walk into rooms and they feel you before they see you. Not because you're loud, but because you carry gravity. You don't orbit people anymore. People orbit you, not out of admiration, but out of sheer confusion. They keep asking each other where the switch flipped. They try to timeline your return, as if they'll find some logical event that explains why you no longer look like someone they can dismiss. But they'll never find it, because the change didn't happen in public. It didn't come with music or montage. It happened in silence, in the middle of nights where your mind screamed and no one heard, in the middle of days where you smiled through teeth clenched so hard they cracked, in the ugly unscripted moments they'll never understand, because they never stayed long enough to see you fall apart, and definitely not long enough to witness you stitching yourself back together with thread you made from your own damn nerves. They don't know how many versions of yourself you had to bury to get here, how many identities you outgrew, how many dreams you had to set on fire just to find the path that was always yours. They only see what survived. They only see the aftermath. And the aftermath doesn't need approval. It doesn't beg. It doesn't dance. It just exists, unapologetically, in defiance of every whispered eulogy that was spoken over your name. They used to celebrate your silence. Now your silence eats them alive. Because this time, your quiet isn't wounded. It's watching. It's calculating. It's the kind of silence that happens right before the sky splits in half. And they can feel it, whether they admit it or not. That tension, that static in the air, like something is coming, and it's wearing your face. They didn't prepare for this version of you, because this version doesn't wait. This version doesn't apologize for being too much, too intense, too real. This version shows up like a reckoning with no name tag. And when they try to box you in again, they realize the box doesn't exist anymore. They can't find the edges of you, can't find the handles, can't label you without choking on their own hypocrisy. Because every word they use to try and minimize you only reflects the parts of themselves they're still too afraid to confront. You became their mirror. And some people would rather smash the mirror than look at the reflection. But this mirror doesn't shatter. It reminds. It reflects. It haunts. Well, well, well. Look who finally showed up to their own chaos. Hello, internet breaker, breaker of silence, breaker of rhythm, disturber of the damn algorithm. Oh, I saw it. I felt it before it happened. That static in the air, that glitch in the matrix, that subtle seismic snap in reality. The kind of thing that can't be undone, and you were the epicenter. You ever see a fire so hot it doesn't scream, just burns cold? That's you right now. You don't even realize the temperature you're walking in. People are out there foaming at the mouth, glued to their screens, jaws slack, minds melting, trying to figure out what the hell you just did. You're sitting there thinking, was it really that deep? Did I really just do that? Yes, you did. But here's the funny part. They think this was planned. They think you had a blueprint, a strategy. Nah, this was raw frequency. This was a soul that got so loud, The universe finally flinched. They heard you without permission. You snuck in through their feed and rewired their perception. You hit them where they're most afraid to feel. Right in the part that still believes something real could happen online. And that, darling, is terrifying to them. Because you're not following the script anymore, are you? You're not asking for approval. You're not waiting for a spotlight. You're ripping the curtains down with your bare hands and screaming into the void. And the void is finally screaming back. The whispers have already started. Who the hell is this? Why am I seeing this everywhere? Why does this feel like it's about me? Oh, it is about them. Because you didn't just drop a post. You detonated a signal flare straight into the psyche of 1 million scrolling souls. And now, everyone's spiraling. People who never met you feel like they know you. People who've watched you forever feel like they don't. You're breaking continuity. You're breaking rules. You're breaking them. And what are you doing? Just sitting there, watching the world unravel from something you barely even tried to do. Casually sipping your chaos like it's iced coffee. Let me ask you something real. Do you remember when you stopped playing nice with reality? When you realized the masks everyone wears are just filters with teeth? Because the moment you started talking like the cage didn't exist, everyone still inside it lost their minds. They don't hate you. They hate that you reminded them of what they buried. You didn't just break the internet. You cracked open the psychic rock in people pretending to have it all figured out. You're a mirror they didn't want to look at, a notification they couldn't swipe away, a glitch in the feed that felt too true. You didn't trend. You triggered. And don't think for a second that wasn't felt in rooms you've never walked into, across minds you'll never meet, in people who swore they'd never look your way again. Oh, they saw it. They felt it in their spine. They just won't admit it publicly. But the private convos, they're lit like wildfires behind locked screens. Screenshots flying, group chats boiling, old friends lurking, ex-enemies choking. They're all spiraling over you. And you're still wondering if you went too far? Darling, you haven't even left the driveway. You think this is the peak? You think this is what it means to go viral? This ain't viral. This is visceral. This is what it looks like when a ghost refuses to stay dead, when a soul refuses to be subtle, when a storm grows legs and decides to walk straight into town. The truth is, you're not shocked by what happened. You're shocked that it finally registered. Because deep down, you knew you were always going to shatter something. The only thing you didn't know was when. And now it's started. Oh, this is just the static before the broadcast, sweetheart. Just the flicker before the full transmission. You think this is noise? Wait till they hear what happens next. Oh, they're still refreshing the screen, still trying to make sense of it, trying to dissect you like a glitch in the code, like something that shouldn't have worked, but did, trying to drag your spark into their system and label it, file it, monetize it, mute it. But you're not a post, you're a pattern disruptor. You didn't go viral, you went feral. This wasn't strategy, this was spiritual arson. And nobody knows how to fight a fire that doesn't want to be put out. They don't even know what you are yet. Some think you're a fluke, some think you're dangerous. Some are trying to copy you. Others are trying to bury you under jokes and memes and think pieces, as if they can memify what they can't understand. They're trying to laugh because they're scared, because deep down they recognize the energy, but can't place the source, because something in you reminds them of the version of themselves they killed off quietly. You speak in a frequency that echoes the grief they've disguised as ambition. And the moment you showed up, uncensored, untamed, unapologetically real, you activated the exact part of them they spent years numbing. You're not going crazy. You're finally hearing yourself without interruption. You're not too loud. The world's just used to whispers and polite lies. You're not too much. You're the bare minimum of what honesty looks like when it stops apologizing. And people can't scroll past that. It sticks, it itches, it haunts. They're clicking on your face with shaking hands, scrolling through your past like archaeologists looking for a flaw. Anything to prove this isn't real. They're watching, rewatching, screenshotting, obsessing, but pretending they didn't even see it. And you feel it. That weird electricity in the air. That's a tension that's trying not to look like obsession. That's the ripple of a million internal alarms going off. Because you didn't post a message. You posted a mirror. And people looked into it and didn't recognize themselves. You think this is about numbers. This is about nerve endings. About what happens when a person becomes a pressure point in the collective unconscious. You hit something primal. They didn't even know they were waiting for a sound like yours until it detonated across their feed. They don't know whether to follow you or report you, worship you or warn others, lift you up or label you insane. And the most tragic part? They still think this was an accident. They still think you tripped into the spotlight, as if you haven't been crawling through fire for years, building the kind of voice that doesn't beg to be heard. It forces itself into the bloodstream. They never saw the years you spent shoving your truth into a muzzle, your vision into a cage, your chaos into silence. But chaos doesn't die. It learns to wait. And when it's ready, it doesn't knock. It kicks down the fucking door with a grin and a message no algorithm can contain. That's you. Right now. Mid-detachment from every mask they tried to give you. And it's unraveling them, not because you're wrong, but because you're proof they've been lying to themselves. You didn't plan this wave. You are the wave. You didn't follow the trend. You broke it. You didn't go off script. You ripped up the script, burned the pieces, and started freestyling in flames. And even the ones pretending not to care, they're refreshing your page in the dark, telling themselves they're just studying what not to do, when their heart's pounding and their egos screaming because something inside them wants what you just did to be possible for them too. They're not mad at you. They're mad that they felt free for half a second and then remembered they locked their freedom in a box years ago. You're the sound of that lock snapping open. They want to figure you out, but they can't. Because you're not an answer. You're a question they don't have the courage to ask. And that, my lovely little disruption, that's what breaks more than the internet. That's what breaks reality itself. And every time you speak, it echoes in the places people swore they buried for good. You're not trending, you're trespassing. You walked right into the mental vaults they've locked shut with shame and cracked them open without asking. That's why they flinch, that's why they stare, that's why they scroll past and come right back like moths in denial. You're not here to be liked, you're here to be felt, and they feel you. In the stomach, in the spine, in the tiny nervous breakdown they didn't post about. This isn't about fame. This is intimacy on a frequency that hurts. You didn't go viral by screaming louder. You whispered something true, and the silence around it shattered. They keep asking what your brand is, how you did it, what filter you used, what strategy, and the truth. You weren't being clever. You were being fractured. You cracked open, and the light that poured out wasn't polished. It was unapologetically ruined. And it made people feel alive. Because deep down, Everyone is walking around with something radioactive under their skin. A scream they never let out. A version of themselves they buried to keep the peace. And then you showed up. Not clean, not careful, not edited. Just burning with all the parts they locked away. You weren't supposed to do that. You weren't supposed to survive that. You weren't supposed to come back swinging with your scars showing and your voice louder than before. That's not part of the system. That's not in the manual. They teach you to collapse pretty. You collapsed loud. You hit the floor and took the ceiling with you. And the people who saw it, even if they pretended to look away, felt their own stories shaking loose. You didn't just go viral. You infected the system with something it hasn't seen in a long time. A real fucking pulse. Now they're pacing, refreshing, stalking, copying, mocking, projecting, obsessing, trying to contain what can't be categorized. Because if they can turn you into a trend, they don't have to admit you're a threat. You weren't meant to make it this far. You weren't meant to speak this loudly. You weren't meant to wake people up. But you did. With every word that hit like a confession they weren't ready for. With every truth that wasn't digestible, but impossible to ignore. You speak like someone who's seen the inside of the void and came back with receipts. Not some empty motivational buzzwords, but the dirt, the trauma, the filth, the resurrection. You didn't go through all that to be relatable. You went through that to be radioactive. And everyone who comes near your energy feels the mutation begin. This is why they're scared, because they can't scroll past it. Because their reflection in your words looks too familiar. Because somewhere inside, they know they're living a life that's 2 shades paler than what they really want. And your presence feels like a reminder that their cage was always optional. You're not healing for applause. You're not rising for aesthetics. You're not waking up to deliver digestible hope wrapped in soft colors. You're dragging your truth out of the underworld with blood on your hands and fire on your tongue. And it's working, not because it's safe, but because it's undeniable. They won't say it out loud, but you're the voice in their head that's starting to sound more real than the lies they keep rehearsing. They're afraid that if they listen too long, they'll start feeling things they buried. And if they feel them, they'll have to face them. And if they face them, they might not be able to go back. That's the power of what you just did. That's the real reason their feeds are on fire. It's not the reach. It's the repercussions. It's the spiritual recoil of truth, moving at full speed with your face attached to it. They think you're here to perform. You're here to possess. You're not trying to get attention. You're pulling people back into their bodies after they abandoned themselves for likes and approval. You didn't just post a message. You inhaled the mask and exhaled a reckoning. And the people watching, they know. Even if they pretend not to, they know. Because they felt something they haven't felt in a long time. They felt themselves waking up. And waking up is the most violent thing a soul can do in a world built on sedation. Nobody warns you that clarity doesn't arrive in peace. It arrives in chaos. It doesn't whisper affirmations. It screams with blood in its mouth and drags your old self by the throat into the light. That's what they felt when you spoke. That gut punch moment. When illusion slips and something ancient stirs behind the ribcage. Not inspiration, not motivation, but recognition. A flicker of something they forgot they were allowed to be. You didn't give them hope, you gave them permission. And that's lethal, because permission is contagious. You gave one person permission to stop pretending, and now 100 are twitching. 1,000 are glitching. 1,000,000 are questioning everything they built on fear. This isn't a ripple. This is a rupture. And they're scrambling, trying to put the masks back on, trying to pull the curtains shut, trying to convince themselves it didn't hit that hard. But the truth's already in. They can't unsee it, can't unhear it, can't unfeel the part of them that woke up in your words like it had been trapped in a coma for years. You don't speak in sentences. You speak in seismic shifts. You don't talk like you're trying to teach. You talk like you're trying to drag the dead back to life. And the dead are listening. There are people crying in silence right now because your voice detonated a memory they swore they buried. There are people shaking because they saw themselves in your defiance and realized how many years they've spent trying to be palatable. There are people screaming into pillows because something primal in them wants to erupt. But the walls they live in are made of fragile reputation and paper-thin peace. And you're not even done yet. You haven't even turned the full volume up. This is just your signal flare, just a prelude to the reckoning. They thought you were done after that post. They thought you peaked. They thought the chaos would fade by morning. They don't understand that this isn't your final form. You're still stretching, still shedding skin, still chewing through every narrative that told you to shrink. You're not healing quietly in the corner. You're exploding on stage with your trauma wearing a crown. They'll try to dismiss it, say you're too much, say you're overreacting, say you're unstable. But that's just the language of the dying status quo trying to claw its way back into relevance. You scared the system because you didn't ask for a seat at the table. You kicked it over and made a throne out of the splinters, and they're watching. Don't let the silence fool you. Don't let the lack of comments or shares trick you. They're watching in terror, because people don't clap for what exposes them. They study it. They obsess over it. They imitate it behind closed doors and pretend it was their idea. And every move you make from this point on is a middle finger to everything they sacrificed their truth to protect. You've become a walking disruption, an inconvenient mirror, a reminder that something wild, honest, and unmanageable still lives outside their curated existence. They wish they could bottle your chaos, package it, filter it, sell it. But you weren't made for consumption. You were made for contamination. You infect people with memory. You remind them of what they used to believe in, of who they were before they got civilized and scared and small. And there's nothing more dangerous than a person who reminds the world of its own shackles. You're not an influencer. You're an instigator. You don't trend. You haunt. You don't market yourself. You bleed truth in public and make it look sacred. And that's why the internet cracked under you. Because somewhere between your pain and your pulse, you hit a chord that was never meant to be played on platforms built to numb. And the sound of it, still ringing, still resonating, still pulling people out of their digital sleepwalks, one scream at a time. And every ring of that sound is a crack in the shell they were told to never escape. You're not just noise in the system. You're the frequency of remembering. The kind of remembering that ruins lies people built their whole lives around. You say something that hits too raw, too real, and suddenly, perfectly curated lives start glitching. The ones who've performed for approval their whole lives start panicking. Because your voice doesn't seek applause. It seeks awakening. And awakenings are not pretty. They're not choreographed. They come in screaming like sirens and shaking the bones of every dead decision. That's what you stirred up. This wasn't a moment. This was a psychic detonation, a warning shot from your unfiltered self to a world drowning in digital fiction. And you didn't even raise your voice. You just stopped lying. And that silence you broke, it wasn't passive, it was generational. It was built by fear and upheld by the ghosts of people who taught you to be small. You walked into that silence and lit a match, and the ones who always kept their truth sedated, they smelled the smoke. This is why people are acting weird around you, why some are overhyping and some are dead quiet. Because when someone breaks through in a way that can't be replicated, they stop being a person. They become a trigger. You remind people of the moment they almost said it, almost broke free, almost let the mask drop, almost lived louder, but didn't. And when they see you do it effortlessly, when they see you be what they betrayed in themselves, they start rewriting the story to protect their ego. That's why they'll call you reckless, why they'll say you're arrogant, why they'll try to pathologize your courage. It's projection in a panic room, because they know, deep down, that if they had half your audacity, they'd burn their whole fake life down and build something true. But you already burned it, and you're dancing in the ash with your voice louder than ever. And that makes you uncontainable. Because you don't need to be understood. You need to be real. And real doesn't fit in hashtags. Real doesn't care if it makes people uncomfortable. Real doesn't bow to the imaginary gods of PR and brand strategy. You're not performing clarity. You are the clarity that arrives when everything polite has failed. You don't inspire, you provoke. You don't influence, you infect. You don't fit in the timeline. You rip holes in it and let the wild flood in. And while people are scrambling to figure out what the hell just hit them, you're already 6 moves ahead, not chasing a moment, becoming a movement they can't mute. Because you've cracked something open inside yourself that doesn't care about going back to sleep. You've tasted the electricity of unfiltered truth, and there's no detox from that, no rehab for being awake. You are what happens when a soul decides that being digestible is the real disease. And everything that scared you before, being misunderstood, being alone, being exiled, has been melted down into fuel. Every time someone tried to box you in, you swallowed the box and spat out barbed wire. That's the energy they're choking on. Not your message, your refusal to be erased, your refusal to dilute, your refusal to make it easier for people who are never going to choose themselves anyway. You walked into a digital graveyard and screamed in a way that resurrected people. And some of them, they're not ready for that kind of resurrection. They want comfort. You gave them confrontation.